Yesterday, the Minister of Interior was in Parliament to answer questions regarding how the NIB attempted arresting
Honorable Afenyo Markin, enso ko posti ye. Sampa omachi Okatakyie no dwen wa on tiase. First na ya abronye. Sisi aba be ye Okatakyie and then ekoso wo man Ghana mu. Ose it started with Abronye. Now, Okatakyie, the NDC government must be tolerant. Using state security to intimidate opponents is not good for our democracy. Okatakyie must be released now. Nanabi, as opposed to say, the President Mahama-led administration, the NDC is doing everything possible to make sure they silence the media. Hashtag free Okatakyie now. But what is talking on social media without action? In the end, Nanabi. Any more kaka ho eko BNI for akache and I say home pictures and I who skinny see mo tira some media omo to akokogye Okatakyie if we national security for and same as some media we release Okatakyie efifa.
That's the hero on the streets, last man standing, no bagger wire. The last man standing. Okay. Boys, no. Yes. That's the great man, the man who make it happen. Live and colored. Saucy menu ba.
National organizer.
Oh, remember the chia. Oh, seven campaign manager. Solid papa. Bakupe. Big man. Boko. At the moment, Obianim. Obias row. Okay.
Yesterday, the Minister of Interior was in Parliament to answer questions regarding how the NIB attempted arresting Honorable Eskumi of Akwasia. We found it very strange that the minister justified the actions of the National Investigation Bureau. Clearly, there is collusion between the government and the High Court Koforidua to use their own set of laws in our country. How can the minister tell us that the court order could be enforced by the National Security Coordinator's rep in Eastern Region, and the rep, upon receipt of the so-called court order, also forwarded it to the National Investigation Bureau? With the greatest respect, that is not how our laws work. When there is a court order, it is for the registrar to assign a bailiff for the purposes of enforcing the order. This was a situation where the Supreme Court had already frozen the enforcement of that order. So for a week after the ruling of the court, to hear that now state security operatives were harassing the member of parliament in his constituency, but for the intervention of his constituents, they were armed with pickup vehicles, and in fact they actually pulled weapon, a pistol, on the MP, trying to threaten him, to force him into the pickup. I think that the NDC government must know that this country is a country of rule of law, and I can assure the government that today a question will be filed for the Attorney General to come and answer the circumstances leading to the judiciary in Eastern Region, the High Court in Eastern Region colluding with the National Security Coordinator and for that matter the NIB to attempt enforcing an order, which order the higher court, the Supreme Court, had already placed on ice. And where in this country have we ever witnessed such a thing? And for the first time, the minister was justifying that it was right because when a state security official becomes aware of a court order, it is within that state security official's right and mandate to enforce a court order. I've never heard this before, and we are not going to rest on this matter. Thank you very much.
So Kofi before the court beka say wo Kofi ya the criminal matter bo etibrano wo mo frɛ bibi eye prima facie case eti court no abetie prosecutor na sem no ahwemu yie say wo prosecutor no, is there any substance in what you are saying? Your friend prima facie to establish it or establish it we are and san waka kire eye the accused person is a bra nebe you are no. This is a case a court will not find say Japa ambulance no and request to ambulance and requested the ambulance was not fit for purpose and requested Ghana lusu sika. Ghana Armed Forces yi Japa di so ye irresponsible character
precisely
or dubious character. The whole Ghana Army in 2007 eyi ni free Ghana Armed Forces and you America. This is official record of the Ghana Armed Forces.
precisely so.
Sakwaya na ko aye kanoforiata fie obu kanoforiata na ye ni okoya okorura ne dem no krokrotwa obia ema aye majority leader be pa acho no egovi jakwaya ba ma meka ncho jakwa wo ye coward mo ye coward me ka kere open me mi nsuro bia o me sma ka kere mewu se mi gina ho me mu nkotodwe da sa wo so wo bibi tia me na ma ye bibia go through the due process. Precisely. Invite me. Exactly. How come?
Exactly so.
Cowards, I have to tell me, see this old Machiavellian tactics, wanting to instill fear. Me, nobody can instill fear in me. You don't go looking for me at the airport and say, maybe I don't watch him. Open invite me and I'll come.
Exactly.
More fire. More fire.
Who invite me, I'll come.
More fire.
Me she coat to papa. I she shoe papa. I just jab to so the perfume papa.
And your flower
Betimachi, nyam flowers in yenye. Nami dia ba.
Ne flower.
Moya mambufu so ma jifrugu ibate kanima prum.
More fire.
Remember? Nobody can intimidate me. That means who your mama didn't buy so I'm terrorizing Crawford. Yes, sir. And this is the research now can was when the research. There was a Marcus Garvey Kasem. Was it a people without a knowledge of their history? It's like a bird flying without a tree to stand on. Eventually they will fall and die. Because history is the landmark on which we get the true direction to the course of a people's life. When you history, I only know where you are going. And people say, no, I can't TV 1962. My goodness, in the Mutontia, where you dump ass. Really? Yonder mama and the rest certain or the end obey. Because were you worse than what we saw even before.
Precisely.
And the people can't see it. Say euphoria for winning election in front of margin. But they will see the reality. So yet why you say your fra branch ebi Japa, Fanatus no be ahwenanim. Moba kai Japa, ono na attorney general. Ene na ye yi ni yesi ene you former attorney general. Ene na ye we say ni ade Japa case ni ade. Na yesi Japa koto ambulance bi breye. Ana ambulance ni yesi. Ana omu use technicality. Say attorney general yesi. Eti ene sa de asem no kwa ye ntontwene. But asem no ankasa no. Ye kasa criminal matter. Kovi before say court better criminal matter so not just say court no angasa edikama prosecutor wa ba be prosecutor asem no wa make case a chere wo no court no tio say Kofi before say court beka say wo Kofi ya the criminal matter bo etibra no wo mo frɛ bibi eye prima facie case eti court no abetie prosecutor na asem no ahwemu yie say wo prosecutor no, is there any substance in what you are saying? Your friend prima facie to establish it or establish it we are and san waka kire eye the accused person is a bra nebe you are no It is a prosecutor and to me establish a prima facie dia, and yet there can never be any case for any person to respond to. This is a case a court will not find it say Japa ambulance no and request to ambulance and requested the ambulance was not fit for purpose and requested Ghana lusu sika. In 2007 a whole Ghana Armed Forces straw krata na papa we isa Jakwa yi no ye a military person ya straw krata yi nedi na fa krata na to so ne ready a Armed Forces for krata o mu yi nedi no fa krata na to so ne ready ma Ghana fonchi Ghana Armed Forces yi Jakwa ya di so ye irresponsible character
Precisely.
or dubious character. The whole Ghana Army in 2007 eyi ni free Ghana Armed Forces and America. This is official record of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Precisely so.
And according to Ghana Armed Forces, almost or criminally minded. So the above named officer was commissioned in the Ghana Armed Forces as a regular officer on 21st August 1998. All things being equal, the officer should have made the rank of captain on 21st August 2002 and major on 21st August 2007. He has consistently failed the Promex, and now was it the officer describes as what the conduct or Bobosia Wuntia, what did the Kana so they said on you're fit to be in the Ghana Armed Forces. Ghana Armed Forces for Krata or Montro, yeah, on your fit. These are the words of Ghana Armed Forces. Said Japan, you're fit to be in the Ghana Armed Forces. Jomama winning a baby, also a reset to a minor. And any part the whole Ghana Armed Forces are describing it on your fit because on your discipline. Your mama co appointed is why you're director of operations at the National Security. And will be on him Jacobiano at this point will confirm, say. Sakwaya na ko a kanoforiata fie obu kanoforiata na yani okoya okorewura ne dem no krokrotru abia ema majority leader be pa acho no egovi Jakwaya yesenra Japa ko airport okoya no on authority without any court warrant without any authorization Japanese order African world for say omonfa manifest emano ye ka manifest obi a wo fru plane bia no udin any details wo so no omo say manifest omonfa man African world for say manifest omonfa man no na onkro authorization dia an authorization the only time we betimi anya sa when court of competent jurisdiction ama otumi so betimi akwa we sa neman oni bi ana ono aye no operation okoya ne ase wo so hwehwe wan na ombusa ne say manifest omutimi fama no African world for so omutimi fama no na so omo ye dia wo de omo nipa kro a wo hwehwe no edin na wo ye no ni ade na ja wo mo enye wesi enhwe so wo mu anipa na wo mu ana onim but no kwa illegal except that on seek clearance from on top hierarchy asa na omo de ma ayi Japan no
Exactly.
efri na no ohwehwe me say enra na ekosi there so the idea is that then ya meko kumase na meko kumase ya mefru plane na akọ edie na me ba na nka ye ya so am wo airport wo no ai to ohwehwe me but my make control Japan we coward
Fire.
we coward
Fire.
me catch no pain me nsuro bia o me sma catch me wu a me wu se me gina ho me hu nkotodwe da sa wo so wo bibi tia me
Fire.
na ma ye bibi a go through the due process invite me how come
Exactly so.
cowards at the table see this old Machiavellian tactics wanting to instill fear me say me nobody can instill fear in me over family arbere and then abe and you make a martyr out of me don't even think of it we are cowards
Precise.
Much de me ade number ye mbakume ade pa number ye number Japa wo de na betimi aye mobekumi you kill me and I go that's all
Exactly.
me dem insuro Japa we are coward
Exactly so.
yes I'm telling you you don't go looking for me at the airport say me ba anu watch me open invite me and I'll come
Exactly.
who invite me I'll come me she coat to papa I she shoe papa I just jia to so the perfume papa gu me
Enye flower de ni bi.
betimi chi nya flowers nye ni na me de ba Moya mambufu so ma jifrugu yi batakari ma prum.
More fire.
Remember? Nobody can intimidate me.
More fire.
Obi? Jakwa. Criminally minded person per the records of Ghana Armed Forces. And now I'm no year yesim. And the nation is watching him. We are a nation of laws. We are not in a jungle. And they will be at me sorry. But my boy will be fee. Jakwa so sorry, what boy will be fee. So I your first one, you can't read. It will be a second one. And yes, sir. We are cowards. We are cowards. When him Juma, so any more Juma. Now this Makabibi. It is inciting fear, causing fear and panic. Meaning the laws that governs fear and panic in the Act 29. Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960. Section 270 near the minimum. It is from memra. And I know the element to establish a criminal causing fear and panic. Nobody is going to intimidate anybody in this country. If you want to intimidate me, use the law. Don't be doing this criminally acting. Machiavellian tactics. Concert niade. Jakwa. See your kochika techi. Obecheme. Ewa he. Your mama be reset and any Japan Koya National Director of Operations at the National. When you know how this guy behaves, you know, you guys you know. That means who your mama didn't buy so terrorizing Crawford. Yes, sir. And this is the reset now can WhatsApp. When the reset. What is that? Yeah, building my own. You free baby, you free baby, you be true baby. 1960. Kwame Nkrumah person. No more dem emrano nyina akoshe parliament nsa. We make an bit was say me ma history 1957. Na wo adwene mu no abede hunu history. There was a Marcus Garvey Kasem. Was it a people without a knowledge of their history? It's like a bird flying without a tree to stand on. Eventually they will fall and die. Because history is the landmark on which we get a true direction to the course of a people's life. When you history, how will you know where you are going? And people say, no, I can't 1957, 1962. My goodness, you dump ass. 1960. Kwame Nkrumah, your fracas be real kutu. So more ye near dear. Kwame Nkrumah say near macho. A year Preventive Detention Act. Mama Parliament as Sambra. 1 year bonibia. Ya jitum say parliamentary sovereignty in your berani. And a parliamentary sovereignty which Mrs. Sambra said you pibia. And what you a year 1 year de Bafua kutumuni atumu. Real kutu case. And a Koyan SMP, and a Lemfo group. A Koyan SMP. After what the Koha Kwame Nkrumah said I be you know. What they call her ways, court to the now provisions in the constitution. And my whole crime a year parliament yet near my baby. And your name Waba. Cases like 2-4 versus Attorney General, Nina, Bedema versus Awuno, Nina, and the Nina may a formulate is and the abundant in to tour. Yes, a ma a year, the fundamental human rights of the people. Said Nipabet Miananti freely. No be ensure Musuo. Yadiko share year chapter 5 of the 1902 Constitution. From Article 12 to 33. Yadi assassin court to Nensah. Court to need the only person who bet me a Joe be freedom of free in some. Article 19. Presumption of innocence. So be a baby Kuranwa. And I'm seeing person and you will be a friend of presumption of innocence. So the person shall be presumed a year innocent until proven guilty. In a way, we don't want the government to be terrorizing people because creative constitution what it does is that it creates power for government and it creates rights for the citizenry. More fire. Then they to one cancel. I never know. As a member, you couldn't and I your mama abanisi ubia. It's in a mogas and Ghana Moyam Sere. I didn't see. Universal Declaration on Human Rights, UDHR, a civil and one political rights. The world is watching us. Your mama didn't know me. Japan didn't know me. Left from right, anybody at all can intimidate you people. Jakwa, stop being a coward. Sa theatrics here, JJ Rollins, do Kumunipa, and it's I don't do Kumunipa. What do you come international bodies will deal with you, and you people know. We may know because watching. I'm a lawyer for your bureaucrat. Yeah, they all the embassies.
Exactly. So,
Alerting them of the nonsense that you people are doing. And we know where you guys come from. History. Nobody's going to scare us. We will stand and fight.
precise.